gorilla, nature. Bro, let's go skate. Dude, E equals MC squared. Nerd for life.
Woo! How's it going, you guys? Your boy Pastor Darius here. Very excited. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Pastor Darius Knows Things. Woo! Let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. So, this in this new one, we're talking about testing of faith. That's what this one is about. It's a test of faith. You know, I feel like a lot of Christian people, they want the experience of being Christian without actually going through the actual experience of being a Christian person. So I ask you guys, what do you think it means to be Christian? Go ahead, post in the comments. Let me know what your perspective of being a Christian person is, So let's go ahead, hop in straight. We're going to hop right into this, man. We're going to be starting with Genesis. It's the Bible story, Genesis chapter 22, verse 1 through 4. I'm going to give you guys a brief overview, and then we're going to actually hop directly into the actual reading from the Ethiopian Bible, which is the literal standard version. So, it says, God commanded Abraham to offer his beloved son Isaac as a burnt offering. Abraham, without question, prepared to obey his unwavering obedience, even to a seemingly impossible command. Demonstrated profound faith. God intervened, providing a ram as a substitute, and commended Abraham for his obedience. So that's just an overview. And we're going to go into, and then the actual reading is in Genesis chapter 22, 1 through 14. So let me just go ahead and talk about this, right? So the question is, what are you willing to sacrifice to be in God's grace? A lot of people are saying that, a lot of new age Christians are saying that it's Jesus' sacrifice that redeems you, and that you don't have a part anymore to do. But the reality is that you do have a part. If you want to grow in your relationship with somebody, you know what it takes? Time. You can't really say that you're growing in your relationship with someone when you're not even spending the time to elevate and cultivate that relationship with that person. So how do you expect to have a growing relationship with the God of all creation when you're not even willing to take the time to get to know God, and you're not willing to sacrifice anything? You're not willing to sacrifice any of your time. You know what I'm saying? You spend all your time working at these jobs, trying to, pay bills, and then you give God your leftover time on Sundays. Oh, I got Sunday, I'm gonna spend some time, go to church. You know what I'm saying? And so you giving God the leftover, yet you want the increased blessing. You want the 100-fold blessing in your life. Well, I'm here to tell you, man, ain't finna be no 100-fold blessing for you, buddy, when all you giving is your leftover. If you want true increase in any area of your life, it requires dedication. You can't go to the gym and lift weights and think that you go to the gym once a month and then you're expecting to get results. Bro, I'm sorry, that the God of all creation, the way that this world has been designed is that to increase in any area of your life, you need to you need to sacrifice something, meaning time. Time is your most valuable asset. It is the one thing that when you sacrifice that, you can't buy any more time. You hear what I'm saying? Like, you can't buy one more day of your life back. It ain't gonna happen. Sorry, we all have a designated amount of time on this planet. Get used to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, real talk, bro. When it's your time, it's finna be your time. You can beg, plead, cry. Oh, I want more time. Nah, bro. When you on that deathbed, it's a wrap, bro. But let me get back to focus, right? If you want results in your life, you need to put in the time. If you go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, you put in that time. Don't be surprised when your muscles start growing and people start noticing and complimenting you. Oh man, bro, look at you. You starting to look good, bro. I remember when I remember I hadn't seen my little brother in some time, right? But I love to go to the gym even now, right? I'm a avid gym goer. I like, I just love going to the gym and lifting weights. It gives me such pleasure to go in there and just lift heavy, heavy weights, and so I remember I hadn't seen my little brother in some time. And this was like, oh man, this was a couple years back. I want to say like maybe 2, maybe 3 years ago. And so I went back home to visit my family, after it had been like, I don't know, maybe like 6 months, maybe a year or something like that. And my little brother, he seen me, he was like, dang, bro, you like mini tanks. That's what he called me. Now, the thing was, I didn't notice it. You know what I'm saying? I was just consistently going to the gym, lifting weights, being me, and that's just what I enjoy doing. So I guess what happened, I think that was during the time when I had started making some real increases in my exercises. It might have been 3, maybe 4 years ago, but I started doing like real increase, doing lifting heavier and heavier and heavier. And, I didn't notice the results personally. I didn't notice the results, but the fact was I wasn't going out and eating. I was majority of my food, my intake was coming from what I cooked. I was eating healthy food, so with healthy food, nutrition, healthy nutritious diets, I was taking my basic supplements, nothing crazy, just stuff to, help for recovery and, the basic things that I needed, that my body needs, that it's hard to get from normal food, right? And then I was doing my actual normal gym workouts consistently. And I had a couple gym memberships. So, I was just getting it in, man. So when I went back, my little brother, he looked at me like, hey, bro, you're getting big out here. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, bro, if you're looking for those results, man, you got to put in the time. There is no shortcuts to success. I'm sorry. I know that they got these crypto kids up out here. Easy come, easy go. You know what I'm saying? Real talk, bro. Easy come, easy go. It's kind of crazy. A lot of people, a lot of younger people in this new generation, it seems like we're living in a world where faith is almost not a thing, really faith is almost not a thing anymore. And I feel really sad because there are a lot of things that you can't get without it. There's a lot of things you can't get without it. So I want to go into this reading right quick, and then I'll come back to this, to this conversation we're talking about right now. So let's go ahead, hop right on into reading. We're gonna hop into this reading here. All right, here we are. So we're reading chapter 22, verse 1 through 14. Genesis chapter 22, verse 1 through 14. Again, Ethiopian Bible, literal standard version. If you guys don't know about it, you got to Google it. Google the Ethiopian Bible, when you get some chance. So, and it comes to pass after these things that God has tried Abraham and says to him, Abraham, and he says, here I am. And he says, now take your son, your only son, whom you have loved, even Isaac, and go for yourself to the land of Moriah, and cause him to ascend there for a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will speak to you. And Abraham rises early in the morning and saddles his donkey and takes 2 of his young men with him and his son Isaac, and he cleaves the wood of the burnt offering and rises and goes to the place of which God has spoken to him. On the third day, Abraham lifts up his eyes and sees the place from afar. And Abraham says to his young men, "Remain by yourselves here with the donkey, and I and the youth go over there and worship and return to you." And Abraham takes the wood of the burnt offering and places on his son Isaac. And he takes in his hand the fire and the knife, and they go on, both of them together. And Isaac speaks to his father Abraham and says, "My father." And he says, "Here I am, my son." And he says, "Behold, the fire and the wood, and where the lamb for a burnt offering." And Abraham says, "God provides for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son." And they go on, both of them together. Now, I want to stop here for a second, and I want to look at this, because it says, his son, Abraham says, "My father," and he says, "Here I am, my son." So he asked his son, I want to highlight this area right here. He says to his son, let me just go ahead and highlight this whole thing. Boom, bang, bang. So this is 7 and 8, verse 7 and 8. It says, and Isaac speaks to his father Abraham and says, "My father." And he says, "Here I am, my son." And he says, "Behold, the fire and the wood, and where the lamb for a burnt offering." And Abraham says, "God provides for himself the lamb for a burnt offering, my son." And they go on, both of them together. What you speak in this life becomes reality. I want you guys to understand this. The way that the world works, right? The world that we live in, the way it works is that first you start with a thought in your mind. You think something that you want to come into reality. You think about it, right? And then you create a plan. If you're smart, when you think something that you really want to create and to come into this world, what you need to do is, the next step is writing it down. When you write it down, it's like, that's what they used to do before. When did a law in past times, when did a law become a law? A law became when they were up on Mount Sinai, and God gave the law, they wrote it, the law was written down on tablets. It was written down, thus it became the law. You know what I'm saying? Like real talk, bro. When they write it down on the paper, you know what I'm saying? And they put their stamp on that dog, boom, bang, bing, law. That's how it works. So, if you want things to come from your mind and come into this reality, because each of us, we are creators in our own right. We are all creators. I repeat, we are all creators in our own right. So, if you want to create, you want things to come into creation, like the one who gave us the ability to create, it is essential that you write things down, And once you write it down, you need to create steps and dates on when you're going to how you're going to get the thing done that you want to get done, right? The steps of getting it done, practicality, right? And then the last thing, the third thing is putting dates. When is this thing going to come into fruition? When is it going to come into, when is it going to actually happen? A lot of people talk a whole bunch of nonsense. Oh, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have millions of dollars. How you finna do that, bro? How you finna do that? How you finna get $1 million? Because if it was so easy to just get $1 million and just talking about it, everybody would have $1 million. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is, they say the top 1%, you know what I'm saying? Top 3% get the $1 million. Top 3%. And then up, and the higher up you go, you start talking about, 10, 20, $30 million. Now you talking like, now we talking like real money. And we going up to the 1%. You know what I'm saying? And then there's like 0.5%, which is, 100 million. And we got the billionaires, which is like so small of a percentage. You know, you know what I'm saying? But the fact is, whatever you want, you have to actually start making goals for it. If you want to open a business, you want to have a business, you want to create something, right? Bro, you going to have to, what you believe, faith, right? What you believe will be shown in what you do. I'm going to repeat that. What you believe will be shown through what you do. If you do not take steps to make the thing happen, you're showing your faith and you're showing what your actual belief is. You don't really believe it's possible. It's like me continuing to, every week I'm putting out video after video after video after video on multiple different platforms. I'm doing 3 posts per day on Instagram, across the different Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Across the platforms, 3 posts per day on each platform. And then on each, and then I have 2 different accounts that I'm posting on Instagram. So it's 3 posts per account. So it all adds up to about 5 accounts. So I'm doing about 15 posts per day on all my different social accounts, posting videos. Why? Because I believe in the mission. I really believe in the work that we're doing here. I'm not just saying and talking and making these videos every week for fun. I'm doing this because I want to make a difference in the world. I actually believe that I can. And in my mind, I've written it down on I've put it on paper on how I'm going to take the steps to make changing the world and eliminating poverty and building a kingdom, how I'm going to do that on paper. I've written it down, and I've been working day, night. I've been traveling the world, taking every step to learn about different cultural understandings, trying to figure out the different economic situations in different countries, trying to understand the different governmental policies, how government works in different countries, because we like to believe that there's only one government, the United States government. But the fact is they got different governments around the world, and things are done differently depending on what part of the world that you're in. In one part of the world, in the United States, eating cows eating cow, that's one of the things we do, bro. You know what I'm saying? Except unless you were like vegetarian or something like that, right? We do have a lot of vegetarians. They don't eat cow. I respect it. Now, but across the country, we are probably one of the number 1 consumers of cow in the world. Now, we go to a different part of the world, aka India. In India, the cow is seen throughout to the Hindu people. The cow is seen as like a sacred animal. You know what I'm saying? It's not just there. You go to Nepal, they see the cow as like God. You know what I'm saying? So guess what? They don't consume cow in those places. Very rarely. I think in some of the places where they got like Muslim, like a lot of Muslim, and they got like Christian, right? Then they eat cow. But majority of the country is Hindu. You hear what I'm saying? So again, right? So they got governmental policies around that, what you can consume. Now you go in the United States, and here in Vietnam, right? And not just in Vietnam, I believe in Cambodia, you know what I'm saying? They eat, even in China, they eat dog. You hear what I'm saying? Eating dogs. Like straight up, they eat dog, bro. Like I done seen a video where the guy prepped all that, you know what I mean? And they eat the dog. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up eat dog. And in the United States, we're like, oh no, bro, you don't eat dog? Are you kidding me? That's seen as like, something like really, really crazy to do. You know what I'm saying? Eat dog. But guess what? Different government, different understandings in life, different histories. You know what I'm saying? So maybe, just maybe, you need to become more cultured and start traveling the world and seeing the world from, and then you can start seeing the entire, the entire picture of what the world entails. A lot of people haven't traveled, they're ignorant. So they have created this small little world where everybody is just like them. Everybody eats the same food that they eat. Everybody does the same things that they do. But the fact is, majority of the world is uneducated. Majority of the world has not been to college. Majority of the world does not have a college education. We're talking probably like top 10, maybe 15% of the world has college education. You know what I'm saying? And then you start talking about like bachelor's, masters, it goes down top 3% of the world. You know what I'm saying? Bro, you guys, become educated, learn, and you will know. That's one of my favorite sayings. So let's continue going forward into the faith discussion, right? We're going to continue going forward here in the faith discussion, right? Oh, wait, let me finish reading that Bible scripture before I stop. Okay. And they come to the place of which God has spoken to him, and there Abraham builds the altar and arranges the wood and binds his son Isaac and places him on the altar above the wood. And Abraham puts forth his hand and takes the knife to slaughter his son. And the messenger of Yahweh calls to him from the heavens and says, Abraham, Abraham. And he says, here I am. And he says, do not put forth your hand to the youth, nor do anything to him. For now I have known that you are fearing God and have not withheld your son, your only one, from me. And Abraham lifts up his eyes and looks, and behold, a ram behind seized in a thicket by its horns. And Abraham goes and takes the ram and causes it to ascend for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham calls the name of that place Yhwh-Jireh, because it is said, this day in the mountain Yahweh provides. So Yhwh-Jireh is, this is God. This is the Father of all creation provides. Wow, that's a miraculous thing. Yhwh-Jireh. I will remember that for the rest of my life. Wow. And the messenger of Yahweh calls to actually, that's the end of it right there. That's number 14. Let me stop right there, because I can go on reading for days. So what we have here now, let's go ahead. We've read the scripture, right? God provides, man. If you have enough faith, God will provide the things that you need. You guys, if you have enough faith, God will provide the things you need. Now, let's look at the historical figure. Let's hop straight into historical story. Nelson Mandela and the fight against apartheid. Wow, man. Nelson Mandela, this guy is this guy is a titan of history, So let's go ahead. Mandela dedicated his life to ending the oppressive apartheid regime in South Africa. Despite facing decades of imprisonment, he refused to compromise his principles or incite violence. His unwavering obedience to his moral compass and his commitment to justice, even in the face of immense adversity, ultimately led to the dismantling of apartheid and is becoming a symbol of reconciliation and freedom. Now, Nelson Mandela ended up going to prison for like 30 some odd years, man. Like crazy over this, like he was like a radical, guy, trying to fight this apartheid. Apartheid was like the oppressive measures that the white South Africans had on the black South Africans. It stopped them from like using certain lands for farming, and like ownership of property and all types of, literally it was a full-on oppressive government. But there was one who believed that things could be better, and he fought to make things better. This was Nelson Mandela. You guys, my message for you today is that if you believe and you have faith, in something, right? You need to understand there is going to be a test. Things are not just going to be easy. If you want something, you're going to have to work for it. To get through college, you take test after test after test at each level. First year, you do your basics. Second year, you do your, second basics. Then you get to your upper division classes in your third and your fourth year. Each year, you're taking tests to make it through those exams. Why? To show your knowledge, to show your relationship with knowledge and with growth of that subject matter. When you go to the gym and you lift weights, if you're exercising, you know what I'm saying? If you want to show your growth and you want to show, guess what? At a certain point, you should stop doing the basic exercises using the low amounts of weight, and you should start increasing the weight, and the complexity of your exercises should become more and more difficult. Why? Because that's how you grow. You're going to be tested. What you believe is going to be tested in this life, you guys. I need you to understand and take hold of what I'm telling you today, you guys. If you are looking for growth in your life, you will be tested. You guys, don't forget to go in the comments and answer and let me know what you guys think about going through tests in life. Put it in the comments, man. Let me know what you think about this conversation about that we're talking about going through things, about changing times in the world, because things are changing. We got Donald Trump as president. They got the Epstein files. We got cryptocurrency. You know what I'm saying? They got wars around the world. Do you believe that this is the ultimate test? Is this the end times? Is the mark of the beast coming? You guys, go and let me know what you think in the comments, because I tell you now, man, I don't believe it's the end times. I don't believe the mark of the beast. I don't believe in those things. You know what I'm saying? I believe in Jesus Christ. I am free. I'm not bound by any governments. You know what I'm saying? I'm bound by the creator of all existence. You guys, it's your boy Pastor Darius. Thank you for watching another episode of Pastor Darius Knows Things. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.